Hi, it's Dame Kabiyawu. And the question of the day today is, how do you raise children with good money habits? How do you raise children with good money habits? And I'll tell you that the earlier you start, the better. So I think that this video is going to be more useful for people who are pregnant or have little children, because the earlier you implement these habits, the easier it will be for the children to maintain it going forwards. I've got some kids myself, and I think they've got very good habits with regards to money. Also, we talk about finance all the time, so they have a good grasp of what finance is. For parents, I will say that it's hard to teach habits that you yourself do not have. So be conscious of this. And if you need some resources, if you want me to point out some resources to you that helped me, then let me know in the comment section and I will find something to include in the description for this video. I started teaching my kids way before I studied finance. So this is not something that only people who have finance knowledge can implement or teach. So 4 things we did. The first was teach good decision making. Teach the kids how to evaluate different options and make the decisions that work for them. Now, for the good decision making part of things, I started teaching them really young. I would have them decide which crisp they wanted. I always gave them an option. So there was always 2 options. Do you want A or B? Why do you want A? Why do you want B? Why don't you consider taking B? Because maybe you had A yesterday or something like that. But I would talk them through my thinking of how I arrive at the decision of which crisp I would want. As they got older, we started implementing this with more and more decisions. How do you whittle down 20 decisions to 10 and then 3 and then your top 1? For example, when my kids were going to college, we divided the entire college universe that we were going to apply to into 3. Standard schools are the schools that we knew they could get into quite easily. Maybe because it's a state school and we live in the state or something like that. Then we have reach schools. Schools that we thought they should get into, but we're not sure if they'll be able to get into it. And then in the third bracket, we had aspirational schools where we just went all out. We went for the highest ranking schools in the universe of schools that they wanted to do, that offered the things that they wanted to do. So when it came time to make the decisions, it was easy. We got offers from the aspirational school, so that topped everything else. We could drop the rate, we could drop the standards, and then we're looking through the aspirational schools to decide which one would be best suited for them. So first thing you want to teach your children is how to make good decisions. Start early, start with simple things, start with fewer options, 2 options for 3-4-year-olds, and as they get older and older, add 1 more decision and 1 more decision, and then teach them how to whittle things down. The second thing you want to teach is how to save. How do you teach children how to save? I'll tell you how we did it. I come from a Nigerian culture, and Nigerians tend to give money for everything. For example, when I got married, I didn't get any presents. Well, it's been a long time now. It's over 20 years since I've been married. But I didn't really get a lot of presents. What people gave us was money. And when I had my kids, we got money. When they celebrate their birthdays, they get money. Christmas, whatever it is, they get money. So I started with an IOU system. They would stick an IOU on the board. I'll take the money and put it in my account or do something with it. And then when they wanted to they could keep a record. That's what I'm saying. They could keep a record of how much money they had in their savings and then how much they were spending. Now, when they got old enough, I opened a bank account for them and then transferred the money from the IOU into their bank account, and that became the seed money for their accounts. So they learned how to save. Now, hand in hand with saving is spending and budgeting. I think you gotta teach your children how to spend. It's not enough to just save, save, save. But how do you spend money responsibly? What should you spend money on? What should you consider when you're taking money out? Can you afford the money? If you can't afford it, when are you going to be able to pay it back? Will it incur interest? Those are the kinds of considerations that they should be thinking about at that age. And that's what we did with the kids. We taught them how to budget for the things that they needed. I think right about the age of 11 or 12, was when I stopped buying them presents. They get presents for Christmas, they get presents for their birthdays, and I don't buy toys or anything else after that, unless it has to do with school. So they, if they want special clothes, they want special presents, special shoes, then they had to budget for it. Now, if they didn't have enough to cover it, we would work out a percentage or a proportion basis. So for example, when my son wanted to buy his Nintendo Switch, he came to an agreement with me and my husband, and we decided that we were going to pay 50% of the cost if he could cover the other 50%. Now, he had money in his account that he could use for that, but he could also wait until his birthday came around or something else came around where people gave him money and he could accumulate that money and use it. The other thing that they could do reasonably well is reach a compromise with their other siblings to see if they can chip in and buy this, pay for their portion of this thing that they could all then share. So we stopped buying them presents. They had to budget for the things that they needed. They had to be able to afford it, and we would pay the balance. Another example was when they started buying more expensive clothes. Not clothes. One of my son is a shoe fanatic. And I remember the first time he wanted to buy $200 shoes. And I was thinking, boy, I don't have a $200 shoe. Are you kidding me? 200? Okay. I can give you 80. That's what we thought, right? We will pay $80. The remaining $120 has to come from you. And if you don't have it in your account, you're going to have to save or wait until you have it. So first thing we taught them again is how to make decisions, how to save, how to budget, and then the final, how to save and budget. And then the final thing is how to spend. I know spending is an incredibly difficult thing to do, because what should you spend your money on? What are the consequences of tying your money up in this versus something else? My son's always wanted a PlayStation 5, and I flat out said, I'm not going to buy you a PlayStation 5. I can do PlayStation. We had a PlayStation 4. If you want to upgrade this perfectly working PlayStation 4, then you are going to have to cover the cost 100%. And let me tell you, he had the money to cover the cost. He just weighed the pros and cons like we taught him to do and decided not to pay for it. It turns out when I'm not paying for the things that they want, they evaluate better and they make better decisions about it. So that was the final thing we taught them. Now, when they got old enough, we opened a bank account for them. When they turned 13, we got them a credit card that was connected to one of our credit accounts. When I say our, I mean the parents. We got them a credit card connected to one of our accounts, and they could use it to make authorized purchases. So if they needed to buy something that I was going to 100% pay for, or my husband was going to 100% pay for, then they could use the credit card for that purchase. But if they wanted to buy something that they wanted, they could also use the credit card for that purchase, but they had to pay the money back. So we got them to download the app for the bank, track the payment dates, put the money in, track when interest was charged, how much interest is charged, explain all of that as a concept to them to help them learn how to use credit cards. So that's what we did for money issues. I think I've covered everything. I didn't really make notes for this segment of the answer the question part. I just kind of spoke through it. But if you have any questions, leave them in the video comments and I will get to them as soon as I can. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you in the next week or two. Take care and bye.